Hey everyone, welcome back to the Craft Parenting Podcast, the podcast about two Cincinnati craft beer lovers with a parenting problem. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Joe Ludwig, and with me is my lovely wife and co-host, Caroline. How's it going, Caroline?
Pretty good. I'm exhausted from mom life.
Yeah.
But this weekend's going to be a lot of fun, so it's okay.
Yep. We always have fun on the weekends as much as we can. So we have another great show this week. This is the exciting conclusion to the episode you, Caroline, recorded with our good friends, Hillary and Katie. Just three moms in the basement of our house, just chilling out, having a good time.
I think the break between the two episodes is us saying, hey, maybe we're done recording for the day. And then we just kept talking for another hour.
Yeah. So it's a wide-ranging conversation, and I think you will enjoy it very much. So
it's some moms talking about mom things while their children are being put to bed by their husbands.
And we're just going to get right to it because it's an exciting episode. So enjoy the show right after this. Hey everyone, Joe Ludwig here with the one and only Caroline.
Hey!
Before we get to the main topic of today's episode, we wanted to pause briefly and tell you about how you can support the show.
So if you enjoy listening to the podcast and reading our blog posts every week, then you now have the opportunity to support the show through Buy Me a Coffee. Here's what you need to know. It's super easy to do. You don't have to set up an account to contribute. You have options. Send us a one-time donation or sign up as a member to contribute on a monthly or yearly basis. Plus, you can unlock exclusive content.
To learn more about how you can support the Craft Parenting Podcast through Buy Me a Coffee, click the link in the show notes. And now, back to the show.
We didn't really talk about summer that much, but we didn't really do a whole lot that summer.
I thought I would have a lot to talk about with the summertime, and apparently I did not. I really thought, we did a whole bunch, and it's we didn't really do a whole bunch.
Well, most of what the kids did was with their parents. So, the kids went outside every day for at least an hour. And then, but, at our house, they just play out on the play set in the backyard. At Joe's parents' house, though, they have Kings Island in their backyard where they've got,
what does that mean?
A sandbox, a water table, a kiddie pool.
That's neat.
Ball pit,
That's fun.
And every toy under the sun. So it's just, and they've got an awning, so it's they'd be outside for 4 hours a day.
That's amazing.
Just running around outside. And I'm
That's
yes,
so cool.
I would love to do that with them. And Lily really wants to go swimming. She really wanted to go to a pool. We went to a pool once, and it was a pool that we probably could have gone to a ton more times because it's my future sister-in-law's parents' pool. And they probably would have been oh yeah, come over whenever.
Yeah.
What about this is not Delshire.
Oh, the Woodhaven.
Woodhaven.
Well, I didn't feel like paying for it this year because we
How
did
much is it now?
I want to say it was $4 something a family.
That's not too terrible.
No, you have to
something to family.
Yeah, 400 something a
Okay.
family. You have
$4.
I was
you have to
all
live
the
in
chemicals
Green.
are free.
Yeah.
You got to bring your own.
Yeah, you have to live in Green Township.
yeah.
If you don't live in Green Township, you can maybe get an exception.
The
But
thing I didn't like.
you're the
that's,
first ones to
right
get kicked
here.
out. Yeah.
The thing I didn't like about that pool was it didn't have a zero entry.
Yeah.
Having the little baby and I know
Well,
they
it's
have a
definitely-
baby area.
They have a baby pool. They have a toddler pool.
They
that's-
do?
Yes, there is
Oh.
another little pool that's
Oh yes, I do remember now.
1.5-ish feet to 3 feet.
We announced that we were pregnant with Veda in that pool with you
Yes,
guys.
you did.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Joe Caroline, we're pregnant." But we went to the Farmersville pool, which is in my hometown, Farmersville, not Farmville, Farmersville. And
Close. It's close.
If you forgot, Hillary's from the country.
I'm from the country, and they
down that lane.
down that lane, back riding those dinosaurs to school. You know how it is. They the Farmersville pool ended up having a zero entry installed into it, and it was really nice. And it was
nice to have zero
and it was cool
entry.
because you could sit Veda and on the little inclines. You'd be like, yay!
And you can crawl, and they're not in the water.
It's nice. And then we went to Kings Island, and she got to crawl around the shallow areas of Kings Island too. And it was weird going to Kings Island because I was like, I don't know, we should be here with all, you know what I mean? Because again, you feel should I be around all these people with all the, you know what I mean? I don't know, but when we were there, it's always helpful to see like way younger kids than my kid. And I'm like, okay, we're good. Like there was like little tiny, like almost like a 3-month-old baby there. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I don't know that I'd be bringing my 3-month-old here because the water was really cold.
Yeah.
And luckily Veda is like has no problem with the cold water. Like she's not had any trouble, which is great. But
Yeah. Now, like Elliot did a lot of stuff at a younger age than Lily, just for the fact that it's like, okay, well, Lily's going to go do this thing.
Tag
so guess
along.
what?
yeah, exactly.
You're coming too.
That's what Steven said too. He's like, they probably have other kids potentially that they're bringing this baby with them because the other kids are enjoying the park too. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I was like, and then they closed off at Kings Island. They've closed off the wave pool. So now that you can't get into the wave pool unless you get like they check and make sure that the kids that are younger like weigh less than a certain weight
that's
have to wear the
nice.
vest, which I think is
That's
a really good
good.
idea because like we'd see all these kids where like the rule would be they have to have a vest on in the wave pool and it'd be like they don't have a vest on like it. So
Well, and when that starts, it's such a hard, like
It's
so
scary.
hard to see them.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
get really nervous about the wave pool.
And then like even with a little kid and a parent, their feet could get wiped out, and I mean, that's just all of my lifeguard.
And
No,
I'm not comfortable at
Were
other
you a
pools.
lifeguard?
well, and like
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you taught classes
Forever,
classes
yeah.
for babies and stuff.
when like everybody thinks of drowning like the cartoons where it's some guy flailing his arms saying help, help, blah, 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 blah. It's like no, because like the first time we took Lily to the Woodhaven pool, she went under, and I almost didn't notice because I was like looking at something in the big pool, and then I look over, and like she is under the water at my feet, just staring up at me, and I pull her up, and I'm like,
That's
and
scary.
Fortunately, she hadn't taken a breath,
Right.
but I'm just like, okay, that was a thing that happened.
Ooh.
Now I like,
Well, back when I was a lifeguard, we had to actually take away the lawn chairs because the parents wouldn't pay attention with their kids that are like a year old. They would just let them go in the pool and they would sit on their lawn chair. And I'm like, I make a hell of a lot more babysitting than I do being a lifeguard. That's not my job to, like, you have to be right here. And there used to be so many fights because, well, what are you here for then?
like,
like-
I'm here to save your
To
kid's
save your
life,
child's life if, and I don't want
Right.
to have to.
if and
yeah.
only if.
Yeah, it was
Like I'm here to make sure that your kid, like
And it may still not happen. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
still may. Yeah. So just
Right.
so you know. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's this one lady that was the worst about it, and then she thought we forgot. She didn't know I was from the pool, and she was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "I didn't know the way you used to treat us." No.
Yeah.
I was like, "Don't be all nice and kind now."
Nice and kind.
Yeah.
Feel nice and kind now.
Yeah,
oh my
so, like,
gosh.
the most of our kids' water this summer has been splash pads or like fairy kiddie pools.
We go to the Y a lot.
Well, yeah, you can. You guys have that close by, and do you still teach there, or
I am not yet, but I'm hoping to start soon.
At the
The one right by my house.
I know. It's
Yeah.
so sad. But it's fine because I don't know when I would love to go back, but now it's like even harder to decide, like to get motivated to go. Like swimming was such good exercise for me though. Oh my gosh.
Especially being pregnant, it was the best.
I didn't get to do it a lot when I was pregnant. I wish I could have, but
it was so great with Lily
It's so nice.
yeah.
Swimming
until
being
you get out
pregnant.
of the pool, and then you're
Well,
like,
I feel that now.
You like climb out and it's just like goo, and you're like, oh, child.
I feel that more now than I ever did when I was pregnant. I think it was. I feel that weight hit me whenever I get out of the pool.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just like, ooh. I feel like I was like, yeah. I don't know. I think it's because I spend longer in the pool and then get out, and like you said, trying to navigate the new body situation is like the whole thing. And you said that earlier, and it made me think like being the age I am,
being ancient, yeah.
trying to decide about like having
Older
another
than
kiddo,
dirt.
and like I always say like if and when, because it makes me nervous about because it's like could it be just as good as things turn out just as good as it did with Veda, but it was like.
You can schedule it this time. Remember,
Yeah, I know,
you can be
that's-
way more in control this time.
But I get nervous because like I'll ask my doctor, I'm like, well, like they took the uterus out, put it on my belly, put it back, like shoved it back in there. I'm like, who's not to say that like there's not an issue with it now that like can I develop another child? I mean, Veda was already
I'm pretty
so
sure a lot of
tiny.
people have.
yeah,
I know,
so like,
I know, but it just makes me nervous. Like that's why the doctor's like, no, you're fine. Like just try, and if you have fertility issues, then we'll check you out. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
no, that's not what I
that's
want to hear.
that's usually
wanna
what they do is they'll say,
That's like if
So
you
wait
have
and see.
trouble.
So you're
Yeah.
saying that you would have kids sooner rather than later?
Well, I mean, like that's.
Do you
Yeah.
want
she doesn't
another
want to
kid?
be a
Yeah,
geriatric
I
pregnancy.
would like to. Yeah, I don't want to be geriatric. I'd like to have one. I need to be healed longer than I am currently. But the thing that I find hard is that like navigating the current body and then
Getting back to
down,
normal?
and then going in through it again. Then going through it again.
Caroline didn't have to worry about that.
No, so I
Check it out
lost
twice.
I lost a little bit of weight after I had Lily, but not much. And I know that I need to be more active. and I'm starting to eat a lot better than I did before. But I weigh ish as much now as I did when I was super mega pregnant with Elliot.
And
it's
just
so hard.
It is so hard. I mean, it's just hard to find time
When
for
hormones
anything.
play such a big thing in your body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you wean, I'm sure it's like, I mean, like I thought that, I don't know, I've been having, you know, weird mood things. And like, I don't know if that's because I've stopped breastfeeding.
Because your
and
hormones
stuff.
are, yeah.
And so I'm like, I
I've
don't
had,
know.
since I cut out the daytime feedings, I've had so much more energy.
Oh, that's good.
It's been really nice. It's been really nice.
That
It was
is
a
good.
surprise.
Well, because
And
you're
I
not
also start to
literally
feel-
making food for a person.
Right. And I
Yeah.
also start to feel these little like glimpses of myself coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so nice.
Like you have a huge chunk of your time back, just chunk of time
Right.
in general back too. It's like
Mm-hmm.
on top of hormones and everything else. Like, man, not having to be like, I gotta go pump, like just dreading it.
Right.
I don't know,
Right.
but
Well, and then when you're pumping, like we were talking about earlier, and you're not getting anything, it's like, what is the point of this?
so
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The days when it's just like
What is
nothing
the
is
point of
going
this?
right, and then all of a sudden it's like,
I'm
the
worthless.
kid's gonna
What is
starve.
the
Like, what
point
am I
of
gonna
this?
do?
Right. Well, and it's, you know, I keep saying, you know, when you know better, do better.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but each kid is different. And so I'm like, okay, there was times when I used the haka a lot in the beginning when Kenzie was there. Was first nursing when she was there, when she was born. When she was born.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of like, this is annoying. Like, I'm just going to plug it up and, you know, not worry about it. But then I'm thinking, was that extra milk like that important for the later time?
Yeah.
Like to make more bags and to do. So with the next kid, I guess I'm going to try to do more in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried that ladybug instead of the haka?
No.
The ladybug was so much better. Well, you might have, but you may have needed more space with the haka because like the ladybug's a little small thing that would just go in your bra, and it was nice because they couldn't kick it off because like that would drive me insane. Like I used the haka a few times, but then inevitably Veda would just move a little. I would move a little bit weird, and it would like knock it off, and that would just drive me bonkers. And so I was like, the ladybug, I just tucked it in the bra, and I would get the little bit of letdown or whatever. And it was from haka, but it would like
Interesting.
slightly suction, and then it had a little like valve on the top that you just like boop, and then pour it into a bottle.
Oh no, they didn't have. I don't know if they had. Did they have it? And I didn't know about
Used
it.
to know that.
We used the hako for the first like few. I'm gonna say the first month, maybe a little bit after, and then it was like.
I remember you saying you were getting like, I was like, oh my gosh, you'd get like a bottle, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my goodness, like it was.
Yeah.
I was jealous because that never happened for me, but it was like it was still a cool concept and cool thing, and like I said, the ladybug was helpful because I would have never known I was getting anything off the other side had I not had that little bit of like suction or whatever, and so like you
Well,
said, I
I'm
didn't
just
want to waste
hoping
it.
that for you can keep Babe in a little longer. Next
Oh
time.
yeah. Well, and
So,
now
I
my
mean,
body
that
knows
was,
what it's
like-
supposed to do because for 3 days I pumped every 3 hours, exhausted and like with like horrible pain from the C-section. Pumped every 3 hours and only got a drop on the third day, and I cried. Like I got a drop of colostrum coming off of a nipple, and I like cried.
That
Like,
was
it
what happened with me with Lily, though.
It was
So it wasn't until like, because it just popped up in my Snapchat memories that like I didn't actually like pump a significant amount until I was home from the hospital. And like that had been like me pumping like every.
Well, and I think with your
4
other
showers
issues
at the
that
hospital.
you had going on, I don't think your body was physically able
No.
to.
PCOS
produce
does a
milk.
thing, and like I think that like next baby I might be able to make more, like you said. Just hopefully we'll see, but like
Hopefully
I'm
they'll be
not
able to
hung
stay
up.
in longer because I
Yeah.
feel like Kenzie was able to nurse so well because she was overcooked. And it's kind of crazy that like the latching and sucking is one of the last thing that comes when it's so important.
Yep.
And so many babies are born
And when they're-
37 and it doesn't come in until what 38, 39.
yeah.
Like
and when Veda was 4 pounds, she had barely enough energy to like do anything. She'd suck for like 2 seconds and fall asleep immediately, and it was like, okay, well, it was like, and with the lip and tongue tie, I know better that too. Like I know to get that done before that suck reflex integrates at like 4 months. So now I'm in any baby's mouth I can get into now. I get into it. Like I have my cousin's baby. I was like, can I just like get a gloved hand and like put it in her mouth? And she didn't have any frenulum underneath her lip, and I was like, girl can like flange her lip. I'm like, my baby who still has had the frenulum grow back. Like she's had like,
Oh, did
and
she
even
get
though we
some back?
even though we stretched everything, she had it grow back. The lactation consultant was like, well, it's not ideal, but she looks a lot better. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ticked off that it grew back when we were stretching her and stretching and doing
I know,
all
and
the
it was
things.
so painful for her.
Yeah, and it's so
you and
it was like, yeah, talk about like some stress. But
Well, and like you've probably read them too. Like I've read stories too of parents who are like, well, I didn't know that my kid had a lip tie until it was like mildly too late to do anything about it because it was like, well, now it's going to be super painful for them. But then they were playing on the playground one day and they fell off this, or they got hit in a ball with that, and they busted it. And hey, look, they don't have a lip tie anymore.
I just hate to wait for that. Like I always think it's fun because because the lactation consultant said too for the lip tie with Veda, it was hooded too, like it was slightly hooded over her where her teeth come in. So it's tricky to like clean those teeth then too. So she was like, so I could see having issues with like potentially having more cavity issues with those front teeth because of that lip tie. And I'm like, oh, okay, well that's a good enough reason to do it too. And
right.
Yeah,
it was nice to get at least some of it taken out because now I know if I like try to run like if I would run a washcloth up there, it still like stops at the frenulum. But I have it too. I have a frenulum up there too. So it's like I get that like there's that skin that's to a certain extent it's fine. Like it's not gonna be detriment unless it's really really restricting you to the point where you can't clear food. And sometimes I worry about that with Veda. She'll be like working on something and I'm like, are you having trouble clearing it because you're just still learning? Or are you having trouble clearing it because your tongue tie grew back and now you're struggling to like get stuff out of your cheeks and whatnot and swallow right and who knows? But
I haven't checked Elliot's tongue since like he was itty bitty. So like I don't even know what that looks like anymore.
I know a lot of people.
Like he's okay.
Yeah.
But
did
like,
he have it?
Yeah, he had. So the pediatrician said he had a mild tongue tie, and I have a cousin whose kid has a tongue tie, but they didn't realize it until she was a few years old, and then she drug getting the surgery because at that point they have them awake for it because they'll numb everything, but they'll nip a little bit and then have them talk. And then if they need to nip a little bit more,
they won't talk, they'll scream.
But it's like, I was like, if we can get this taken care of before he has like anything that he will ever remember in his life.
So you had it done?
Yeah, we had it done in the hospital.
And I know a lot of parents that have it done really, really early and they're never prescribed any kind of stretches or anything. Like they never have given any kind of like advice and then they're just fine. And I'm like, that's great. But the other thing that I have happened too is, what was I thinking about that? Oh, my lactation consultant had it done when she was like 40. And she had
40.
Yeah, and she actually she said whenever they had it done, same kind of laser situation that they have with the babies, and they numb them a little bit. They don't numb the babies, but they numbed her because they have to be in there longer. Like with the baby, they don't have to be in there for a second, so they don't really numb it. But for adults,
they just give them sugar water. Pain relief as a small baby is sugar water.
Yeah, but it makes sense to me why she said that she numbed hers versus babies. You know what I mean? Like she said they're only in there for a second, whatever. They go away, we try to nurse them right away or whatever. Veda did not nurse right after. She was red in the face and crying, and we had to just give her a bottle. But they said I got to watch it, and so her do her surgery. I got to watch the lactation consultant surgery, and she said after it was done, the like all the tension in her shoulders went away. Like she had all this tension from that fascia from the tongue tie getting like clipped, and it really helped that. And so like I know people that have tension headaches and stuff and are restricted, and then they get the tongue tie done, and it helps them. So it's interesting.
I might have to see. I know I have friends who have like super severe migraines. I might have to.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you can.
Because they got like the piercing and the little flippy part of their ear because that somewhere said that worked and like they're just like they try everything under the sun.
Go get a referral to a pediatric dentist, or not pediatric dentist. Go to a dentist that specializes in tongue and lip ties, and see and get an evaluation that way, because I really do feel like it could help a lot of people with that tension headache, with different things that they just think are incurable now. Like I have a friend that mom has speech impediment. I was talking to her the other day and I was like, well, like suction your tongue to your top of your mouth, like, and like what does your frenulum look like? And I felt like she was pretty tight, and she still has she went through years and years of speech therapy, and it was like you might benefit from a tongue tie revision. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you're so stuck in your ways, it may not either. But it'd be interesting to see the kind of benefits you can get even as an adult. So
yeah, well, like even with Elliot, they were like, oh yeah, we'll have like a consultation or two before you leave the hospital to make sure that like he can learn how to use his new tongue, and that never happened. But it was also like, there's a snowstorm. We need to get you guys out of the hospital. You guys are second-time parents. You've got this. You'll be fine.
The only reason I asked about the tongue tie is because Mark has it. He's got the tongue tie.
Does he? I'd love to see that at some point. Like, is it a heart shape when he sticks it out? Like,
yeah,
he can't stick it out very far.
Nope.
Yeah, see, that's interesting.
And his cousin had it as well. But I think they got his clip, but it didn't affect his speech and his swallowing. So and it never bothered him now. But that was one of the things that I asked, knowing especially that Kenzie was going to nurse, and that made such a big impact on the latch. Or I was hoping that Kenzie would nurse. And so she checked it. I had a couple people checked it and they're like, no, I don't see anything at all.
Yeah. And it can not affect things, which is why so many people are like, it's not a thing. Pediatric dentists are crackpots or whatever. Like they'll be like, it's not, and you're like, no, everything has a time and place. Like I went to like an OT, a speech therapist, and a occupational therapist several times before I finally got the surgery done, because I just wanted to be extra sure that I felt like I checked with everybody, that it was the right thing to do. And now, people are like, well, it's kind of like certain other diagnoses where it's like, it's happening more often these days. And it's like, no, there's a reason why it's happening more often. And one of the reasons behind tongue ties more often now is because genetically, a lot of people are getting this certain gene where it's something with folate, that the way you process folate, like the way folate is processed in your body with the baby, it turns into those, like I forget what it is now, but it turns into the tongue and lip tie. Like it can lead to tongue and lip tie, and they're telling us all to take this extra folate, and it's something to do with that. Like obviously, like lip and tongue tie is not the end of the world,
right?
But that is one of the contributing factors to why so many babies are having lip and tongue tie now. And I thought that's really fascinating, because it was like, why in the world is everything getting diagnosed? Why does it feel like everybody's kid has a lip and tongue tie? And so like that's why I was like, I loved getting in my cousin's baby's mouth, because it was like, oh my gosh, a kid that doesn't have a frenulum there at the lip that nurses really effectively. And she would nurse her baby for 5 minutes. I'm like, is she done? And she's like, yeah. She's like, my milk comes out like a fire hose. It's either drink or drown. And I was like,
yeah. Like there were times when Elliot, well, especially Lily, because she didn't necessarily like have the chance to like ramp up to it, where it's just like, oh, yep, just good luck, girl. And she'd like unlatch and be like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden it's like, yep, you're just getting sprayed in the eye with some milk right now. Like,
oh my God.
I'll put the burp cloth over that until you get your act together, and then we'll go back at it.
Oh man.
Well, that was like, we're trying to get Kenzie onto whole milk. So we're doing like a little bit of formula and a little bit of whole milk. And she's drinking this bottle and her eyes are watering. And I'm like, what is going on? And Mark's like, yeah, this is normal with the bottle. I'm like, this is not how she nurses at all. Like, it was the first time I ever gave her a bottle. She's just like chugging, and I'm like, oh my God.
Well,
eyes are like watering.
Is it because she drinks too fast?
Yeah. I mean,
is it?
Because you know how like normally when they're nursing, she takes the break.
Yeah, and they have to work at it.
And this is literally just drowning her.
Yeah.
So I try to like pull it away so she breathes, and she just.
What kind of bottle you have?
It's the ones you always use.
Vent?
Tommy TP.
Oh, Tommy TP.
That's the ones that she likes the best. That and then the Dr. Brown.
Because can I tell you that the Event bottles are so slow? You turn those things upside down and they don't drip at all.
Oh wow.
Because the slit in them is like a Y slit, and so they have to like suck. That's why we use the ones we use, because we wanted her to try to work at that milk versus. And now that she's a year old, I'm sure you're gonna try to transition her off the bottle anyway.
Right.
So it probably doesn't matter. But like,
oh, the doctor will make a judgmental way of saying,
you gotta get them off the bottle.
Yeah, your kid's not using the bottle anymore, right?
Was that helpful? I sent you my friend Becca's video about bottle instead of how she did a sippy versus no, she didn't do a sippy. She did a straw instead of a.
I think so. That was a while ago.
Yeah, because I was like, well, because I didn't actually know how anybody transitioned off of. Because I know that I didn't want to do a sippy, but I didn't know how,
Well, and
what
the
you
thing
do.
is that Kenzie now just expects everything to be water.
Oh.
Like in her bottle. So she'll like take a big drink and then she's like, what?
So that's milk.
But like in a bottle, she expects milk.
Have you tried could you try, or would you ever consider trying like almond milk instead? Because I've heard that's like closer to breast milk because it's sweeter. Not even sweetened almond milk. I think just unsweetened almond milk potentially is sweeter than whole milk. Because it's like whenever we tried.
It tracks. It tracks.
What do you mean?
That almond milk
would be closer to breast milk.
Taste-wise.
Taste-wise, yes.
But I mean, it's got the same amount of calcium too. Like the almond milk. Because I tasted the sensitive formula that we were on, and it was like pure sugar water because the first ingredient was corn syrup solids. Then I tasted my breast milk, and it was a little bit sweet, but not as sweet as the sensitive formula. And then I tasted the new formula we put her on, and that was like cow's milk, where it was like very just like straight lactose, right? Like it was not, not it's all lactose, but you know what I'm saying. So it was like it was interesting just to taste the differences between stuff and see how they're.
Yeah, I took a drink of her bottle, and I was like, but I'm used to regular milk.
Oh yeah,
I mean? Like,
Ugh. Some of that formula tastes or smells really bad too. Like when we first had Veda on formula, it was like the high calorie stuff, and it was the NeoSure. That stuff smelled terrible. As soon as we got her off that, I was like, thank goodness, because that stuff's awful smelling. Like, but
yeah, some of the stuff that they give kids, I'm like, I don't understand how you like this, but okay.
I don't know anything yet.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
Is that?
So do you guys both give whole milk as the next like?
Yeah. So with
both cow's milk,
both Lily and Elliot,
like vitamin D.
Yeah, it was vitamin D whole milk. Elliot's still on vitamin D whole milk. He'll be on that for like another 6-ish months. And then we'll transition him to 2%. Every once in a while, Lily steals Elliot's drink because like they like to trade drinks all the time. It's what siblings do. And she, like, there have been like 2 or 3 times where she has specifically said, no, I want the red cap milk. Yeah. Because she knows that his tastes better. Right. And really with her weight, we could probably do that and she'd be fine. Right. Because she's like 95th percentile for height. And then she's like 50th percentile for weight to height. Right. So it's like, yeah, she's on the skinnier side of things. But I'm still like, no, you don't necessarily need all of this. So we're going to stick with 2%. So we transitioned during the day. So like their bottles during the day would go from like a quarter whole milk to 3/4 breast milk. Like,
but I didn't have enough breast milk.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be like a day or 2 of that.
I think I have like,
and then
maybe 12 ounces. And for some reason, I don't want her to use it. I'm just like holding on to
it.
I don't know why. Like, but I'm like,
it is always hard when that last bag goes because you're like, well, now it's all gone.
I have 4 ounces of breast milk. That
have
was
you
mine.
thought about doing a breast milk jewelry?
Kind of. Yes and no. I'm kind of like, whatever. Like, I'm kind of whatever about it. Like, I lose jewelry so much that I'm just like, I go through a lot of effort and then I end up losing it or something. Like, I don't know. I just try to be like, well, I got rid of all my jewelry at one point. I got rid of a ton of jewelry and I was just like, yep, I'm down to like the 5 pieces that I wear. And so, yeah. But I thought I think it's very sweet. I actually had one of my friends and I were talking and she was, like I said, she's a formula mama and we follow this mom called the Formula Fairy. And she actually, for her mental health, to end up doing formula. And she was like, but I'm still bonding with my baby. I'm like feeding them a bottle and I'm looking in their eyes all the time. And then when I was finally done formula feeding, it was like this, heartbreaking thing. When I finally done feeding them their last bottle, it was like heartbreaking or whatever. And she actually made jewelry out of like the last bit of formula. And I was like, how sweet is that? I was like, that's like really sweet because like you don't hear a lot about these formula mamas, whenever, because everybody's like breast milk, breast milk, breast milk. And it's like, yeah, but some of these moms go through the same thing, just feeding their baby the formula. And it's like, I thought that was really sweet. Yeah. I didn't even hear her talk about that. My friend brought it up and I was like, oh, it was really sweet too. But
sweet.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think you'll do that? Do you think you'll think about doing that or whatever? I had a friend that did it, so if you're ever looking to do it, I know someone that did it.
Did she do it DIY or did she buy it? Because they have
that's
these
a good
like
question. I have to ask
DIY
her.
kits, and I'm like, that's not something I want to waste.
Yeah, I'd have to ask her.
But then I know you have to like ship it off at the same hand, and I'm like,
right, like you don't want to get lost or anything. I know.
We can DIY in the basement. Like we can all experiment together.
That's why I was asking. I didn't know. Did you ever think about doing it?
I don't really think that it was as much of a thing.
Yeah.
A year ago.
Because they have like necklaces,
so many things.
Well, and then they have this. The one that I saw was this heart, and like you could do 2 hearts for like one for Lily and what. Not that you need her breast milk, but just like put the breast milk in both. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet, like for each kid.
Yeah. I do think it's really cute, and like I do think it's a really sweet thing. Like I think it would be really a neat thing. I also like worry. I want to save it for like if there's a moment where she's sick and I feel like it's really going to help her because I do feel like it's very like
it's got all stuff that. It's all those like good antibodies or whatever.
But what if I save it for too long and I don't use it and I'm like, oh, that would feel horrible too. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know. But I have all this. Luckily, I have a cousin that's wonderful, and she's giving me a whole bunch of breast milk. And so,
really?
Yeah. Wow. So I have a huge stash in my freezer right now, but it's all her breast milk. Like it's.
Oh my gosh, she oversupplied that much.
Oh yeah, she's giving me a whole bunch, and I'm like, you were just
like I could have potentially done that, but I was like for sure I could have done that with Lily, and I probably could have done it with Elliot too. But I was like, nope. Like because at one point with Lily, my doctor, because I was like, no way that you would share it.
No, I don't want to be like that. And like you had to be engorged all the time.
I was, and I was like, I don't know. And I was like, so I was like talking to Lily's doctor, who eventually became my doctor too. And I was like, I just slowly have to like figure out like what I'm gonna do about this. Like I'm gonna have to be in pain for like a week. And she's like, well, you can just pump after you feed. And I'm like, no, I am not taking up like a half hour to 45 minutes of my time to then have to do that all of the time.
If I could have exclusively breastfed, I would have never pumped. Never. I would have if my baby could have sufficiently transferred milk like she was supposed to, I would have never pumped because it's just the most awful. Like it just feels horrible. I hate it. And then the other thing, I don't know that my cousin's necessarily an overproducer as much as like when I think, and I need to ask her really, but like she goes to work and she pumps, and I feel like her when she's away, her baby wouldn't take a bottle for a while. Like
There
at
are some
all.
kids
Like,
that are like that too.
Like
Yeah.
she will go like that full time without hardly taking
That's how Mark's
anything.
youngest sister
I was
does.
worried about that with Elliot.
I'm like, introduce a bottle right away then. Like that makes me motivated to like make sure that like even next time if I'm able to breastfeed or whatever, make sure I still introduce a bottle because
Well, and that's why Mark was like, I want to give her a bottle. I want to give her a bottle so you can sleep. Well, I would get her up and change her butt while he would get the bottle ready.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm like, just let me just give her the boob. You know, like it's so much easier. But I didn't realize how important that was
when you went back.
oh yeah, because like
for her
with
to have that.
with Elliot, like Lily, we didn't have any issues because she was bottled.
But do
and
you feel
breastfed.
like, let me ask this question because I keep forgetting it. Sorry. I feel like sometimes they tell you to pump and pump and pump and pump and pump and pump because I feel like that oversupply is what we all see on Instagram, and oversupply is what we see. Like that's what the doctors want.
Well, and
that's
don't-
not what our bodies are truly made for. Like
Right.
it sounds like you were uncomfortable.
Well, and I think part of it too was just there was a big disconnect between like me dropping off milk and what Lily was getting. Like that there wasn't a communication other than
You're talking about at the NICU?
at the NICU, other than, oh yeah, at some point we might tell you to stop bringing us breast milk and just put it in your own freezer. But I didn't know that she
You
had.
were like, how much am I supposed to be expecting
like
here?
I
Yeah.
didn't when we
That's
went
hard.
when we left the NICU, like we had our little lunch cooler that had like our sandwiches in it that we were going to eat for lunch, so we weren't going to the cafeteria, and we had brought our blue round cooler to fill with
Right.
breast milk because we were like, okay, this should be big enough, and we had to empty out our lunch cooler because between what we thought was a sufficiently sized blue cooler and the lunch cooler was finally enough space for all of the milk that I had pumped. But I didn't have a way of knowing that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard because
And it wasn't until she was like 3/4 of the way through the NICU where I was actually seeing, when she was off of all of her IVs, where I was actually seeing, okay, this is how much she should be eating at a time versus how much I'm pumping. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's a very big disconnect between these two.
And everybody
And I
says,
wish that I had a
too,
way of knowing that.
Now they say don't feed your freezer, like feed your baby, not your freezer. And I think because that's the thing I'm seeing more and more, because you're right. Everyone always sees these overproducers, and you're like, and that's being an underproducer is not fun, but being an overproducer is also not fun. So everybody
Right.
has their different struggles, and it's like, and if you get on the comment section of anywhere, you're gonna see someone be like, you know, I'm an underproducer, and then the overproducer is gonna get in the comment section and be like, well, at least you're not in pain,
Or
and then
you didn't pump enough.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't.
And then the overproducers will be doing a video, and the underproducers will be in the comments like, well, at least you're making enough. You know what I mean? Like, I would die for a stash. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, gosh, like, it is so stressful.
Well,
Like,
and I feel like I made just the right amount, so that's why when I pumped, I didn't
yeah,
get
you're just enough.
very much because
Well,
it was
and
just what she needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like a big I could tell there was a big difference between when I pumped and when I actually got to feed the kid as far as how I felt.
I
And
can
I felt
imagine.
way lighter after the kid ate versus after I pumped, because like after I pumped I was like, I know there's still more in here, it's just not coming out.
Caroline's over, under, and just enough for.
Yeah, we got Goldilocks going on
I
here.
know, yeah.
I've been meaning to ask you this. Are you guys finished having kids, or do you think you want more, or is it tabled for now?
So Joe says that Elliot has middle child energy.
Oh, but
And
Joe's
I-
not carrying said,
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, right.
So
especially you being an only.
yeah, like I'm an only, so I was like 1 or 2 is fine. I was like, I would prefer 2 because there are definitely some, like there's big advantages, but there's also big drawbacks to being an only
One
child.
for each hand.
Yeah, one for each hand. Like
I'm a
you
big
have somebody
2 if I
else to
can.
tell them that they're being a
Is
little
that what you
shit
want us to?
because nobody
you
tells you that you're a little shit when you're an only child. So it takes
Do you know that from experience?
yeah. So it takes a little bit longer to get all the social cues and stuff
Yeah,
down
100%.
because
that.
you don't have like a bigger or an older sibling
I-
saying, "Hey,
that
cut
make
that out
fun of
because
you."
you're."
Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved whenever Joe would be like, Caroline, you need to share. Like whenever we like started, when we were first when we first became friends, Caroline would be like something, and Joe would be like, Caroline, you need to share. Like it was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh, only child, hilarious. Like, but it's so hard because like I just think about having to go through it again. Like I would love to, but like I always say if and when, because I'm just like, I don't want to sit there and try to put all this pressure on myself and then be disappointed or
Right.
like can it be just as good? Like I always say, like, you know, Veda's so good, so then like is my second one gonna be, you know, a no limit soldier that likes to hit? Like I mean, like literally, like is it gonna
Right.
be? Yeah, I'm just stressed about it. I don't know. I don't want to feel like I feel so blessed already, right? So it's
Right.
like I hate to be pushing the limits. Like okay, now I want another super awesome healthy kid, you know, at 35 or however old I'm gonna be, right? Ancient I'm gonna be with that.
97.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, running around.
was-
Getting close.
Okay.
Getting close.
Geriatric.
So-
Oh, for real.
I was working from home and Mom was listening to 700 WLW because that's what she does. And there was like a 62-year-old woman that just had a kid.
No. I know.
She's like, well,
Katie and I have
Should I have been at 29? I'm like, my back.
So
She's
my back.
because she was like, I'm not done having kids.
Oh,
like,
at 62?
and I'm like,
Oh my gosh,
like,
honey.
like for sure, like our plan is no more children after 35.
Yeah.
Like 35 is our limit. Not because
Well, girl,
like,
you got 4 more years to produce them babies.
4 more years.
but not because like, oh, after you hit 35, you're a geriatric pregnancy or anything like that. It's because we want to be relatively young while our kids are young, so we can run around the playground with them. And then, theoretically, well, in actuality, like they'll be 18 by the time we turn 55. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I mean, you're already there, so you already get it. But
I'm already 55. Is that what you're saying?
55.
Not necessarily that we can be like, wash our hands, peace out, we're done. But
no, I'm just kidding.
we can say like, if we can retire at like 55 or 60, like we can be like, okay, you are legally an adult. Hopefully we have given you the right tools to make the right decisions because all humans are different. So Lord willing, our kids are going to make good decisions and we can be like, hey, Mom and Dad are going to go to Florida for a week. Options include you can stay at the house and watch the dogs or come with us. And then we'll find somebody else to watch the dogs. But then it's like, oh, you're in school. So like, yeah, you have to be in school. So like you can stay home. You can watch the dogs. You can have like.
You're like, I'm Florida. I'm thinking Greece. I'm thinking
but like, and then like.
Prague. Yeah, right.
But like,
Portugal.
We can go someplace. Like it's going to start off with Florida and then slowly we can go further away as we know that they're not going to be complete idiots. But like we can go somewhere for a week and not have to be like, oh, I've got this 14-year-old kid at home that I have to worry about. Because like legally I need someone to take care of them while we are out and about because while yes they might be old enough to take care of themselves, like they can't drive anywhere,
right?
They don't know enough about anything to be like, oh,
so
I got hurt.
How old were you when you had Lily?
I was 27
and then you were
29.
Okay. And you were 30
or maybe
One.
I think I was 27 and 29 31. Or 28 and 29 because I had Elliot and then I turned 30.
I was 28 and then I turned 29 the next month.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great. Yeah, it's just, oh man. Yeah, we were like, we got to figure our lives out. But I'm glad. I mean, I can't believe we just celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary.
That's crazy.
Like, we've been married for 10 years and people are all the time like, was it an oops? Was it whatever? I'm like, no, we planned. Like, this is something that we wanted and we planned.
Have you forgotten how long we've been together?
Yeah, but that's what I think. I think
that's
sometimes people think it's like it could either be
oops or it wasn't working.
Yeah, oops, or it wasn't working. That's the only and so like it was.
That's so frustrating though.
Yeah.
I had people already asking me, so when's the next one coming?
Oh, they do that all the time.
When I was like, just came back to work and I was like, I still can't sit on a chair. What do you people not understand?
Well, we've always said that, right? Like when you start dating, it's like when you're going to get married. When you get married, it's when you're going to have that kid. When you have your kid, when you're going to have your second kid. It's like, oh my gosh.
Where are you going to go to high school? Where are you going to go to college? What are you going to major in?
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess you just have to figure out like what they want to ask you. I mean, like, I guess it's just always
a conversation, but it's like,
I mean, just like you asked like, are you guys done? Or like, what? It's because it's something that's on our mind too, kind of thing. And so it's, I don't know, it's hard because like, I very much, I don't know. And like you were saying, like she was an only child and only once 2 or whatever. I have a sister-in-law that's an only child and had 5. So like she wanted a big family and then she had her last one at 38.
Yeah. Like we have friends who have 4 kids and like, they're like, okay, yeah, we're just waiting for Aunt Flo to come back in town so we can start working on baby number 5. And I'm like, Catholic schools, you don't get a discount until the 4th kid enters.
Well, I remember talking
to 4 right now, right?
Yeah.
I just remember whenever I talked to them and they were like, and
they want
on their
families.
first one, they were like, we want 6. I'm like, whoa, that was not.
I think 4 is a big family if you ask.
Yeah. Well, but like, so the thing is too, like
they were like, we want 6. I'm like,
what did they do to pay for them?
She is very frugal. Like she is very frugal. But like they have large families who also have tons of kids. So like now they can kind of work on like nieces and nephews to help watch the kids.
That's crazy.
But like grandparents are like, peace out, because they've got like 20 grandkids. So it's like, if I'm babysitting, like I'd be babysitting 4 kids every single night, just going to a different house.
I feel like I have such a good support
That's
system,
exhausting.
but it's still like, yeah. I feel like I have such a good support system, but it's still like, I'll say something like the one day I accidentally said to my parent, my mom, I was like, I'll let you watch Veda, something. And she's like, oh, you'll let me watch Veda. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, if you don't want to watch her, it's fine. You don't have to. I was like, I'm just saying. I didn't even mean it like that.
Well,
I was like,
it's a lot of trust, especially when when they're
is.
not verbal, because you're like, they can't tell me
I know.
if anything happened.
Well, that was like sending Kenzie to sitters I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I met them.
Yeah.
I had a good vibe about them. That's the only reason they stayed there. Then it was like we were dropping her off because I was going back to work, and I was like, I don't even know this person. Like,
I mean, I had a sketchy abusive sitter when I was little, and I still have like memories, like slight memories of like bad memories of things, and it was like, it was just not.
it's terrifying.
It is.
I mean, even with our moms, it's still terrifying.
My sister said Hillary cries a lot. Like she's like really rough with Hillary whenever we're there. Like my sister was there at the same time. Like she's 7 years older than me. And like she cries every time we go, and like my mom was like, "Oh," and then we finally like we had to pull me out of that sitter, and it was like, isn't that scary? I was like, I hope that to God that never happens to Veda. Like I would just
Your sister is so she loves you so
oh my gosh,
much.
yeah. We always joke that my sister wanted me more than my mom, which is not true because more than my parents, which is not true because they tried super, super hard for me. But
Right.
But it was like, but my sister is like like a whole nother
sweet.
parent to me, and she's just so wonderful. Yeah, it really is, and like she absolutely loves Veda. She's like,
Well, I mean, think about it when you're like, okay, they're fine. They're, you know, like you tell yourself like, no, it's fine. You don't know the whole situation. And like, and sometimes you pick them up from work and you go home and you do this and this and this. And like, you need someone like Heather to be like, Mom, have you noticed?
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is not adding up.
Right.
Well,
you
like,
know.
people that think that kids don't pick up on stuff are idiots. Because
Shit, they start picking up stuff at so little.
yeah,
They're manipulative by 3.
and like Elliot will mimic stuff that we do, and I'm like, oh, I do that. Around
Steven's
you.
making his way through South Park, and he's almost completed like the full like all 27 seasons or whatever. It's like it's a crazy
God.
Oh, you
And
got
he'll
like
watch it with her, and I'm
6
like,
more months of that before
I
you
know,
have to shut it
and
down.
Steven's like, and it's like Cartman says something, and I'm like, Steven, oh my goodness, I'm like, please get through this before Veda is too old enough to like be able to repeat stuff, because I'm like, this is not good. Like some of the stuff they say on this show, like but it's just, I mean, that's people are like, oh, what are you watching? Like kids watch show. I'm like, we're not watching any kids shows right now. We're watching all shows we want to watch until we can't possibly anymore. Like we know that there's gonna be a time where we can't watch that stuff anymore, so we're gonna watch it up until we can't. Like,
it's you can, but you have to be strategic about it.
I mean, you have to wait till nap, and you have to wait till their bed, and you have to wait till whatever. Luckily, she doesn't watch anything either, so I'm like, I don't feel bad about screen time because it's like I don't like the extra noise of screen time if I'm playing with her, so I try to just turn it off. But if I'm like giving her a bottle, I'm like, well, I'm going to watch like a home improvement show or whatever. I'm not going to sit there and just watch Bluey. You know what I mean? Like, just not yet. Like, right? Like, if I want to watch, if later on she wants to attend to the screen, then that's fine. But she's not attending to the screen, so I'm not going to sit there and put shows on for her yet. That's just the way I am, because I don't like the extra noise.
Like, every kid's different. Cause like, I remember dropping Lily off at our friend's house when she got watched by our friend, and she was like 6 or 7-ish months old. And she's like, yeah, she just kind of sits and watches the TV versus like my daughter just is like running around the living room like a crazy person, and Lily's just sitting and watching whatever's on the TV. And I'm like,
it is.
But it's like for like 10 minutes, and then she'll like wander off and do something, and then she'll sit and stare at the TV.
Well, you guys have a bedtime routine that you've established that
involves Mickey Mouse
Clubhouse. And
but like it's crazy. Like at some point, Elliot like showed super interest in trains, so Joe's like, oh, I'll just put on some train spotting videos, and he will sit still on the couch for 20 minutes watching these random trains before he gets up and starts wandering around.
Can I tell you how much I love that our bedtime routine involves singing 2 songs and rocking her to bed and she goes to sleep? Like that's like, and that Steven will not, he doesn't sing. He's not he's not a big like, well, he'll sing like other nursery rhymes, but he won't sing like, he'll hum the other 2 songs to her and rock her. Like it's just like the sweetest thing. Cause I'm like, he's not been a big singer. I love to sing, and so like even though I'm not great at it, I still just love it. And so like to be able to sing to her, and then the other thing that I love is that she will be so calmed down by it when we're in the car. Like she will go to sleep in the car if we leave during a nap time, like an hour drive to my parents. 18 minutes away from my parents' house, she'll start to cry. She'll wake up, and if I sing, I can sing I have a whole list of songs on my phone, and I just go through and I sing 5 little speckled frogs, 5 little ducks, 5 little monkeys, a lot of 5 little things,
right?
And like
these 5 little fingers.
How
do they come up with that?
Dink, like all like the you sang one, and then I looked it up. It was the
I Love You a Bushel and a
Yeah, that one. I sing that one now too, where like I have a whole list, and I go through and I sing it, and she just like she just like calms right down, and it just like makes me so happy, because I'm like, you know how much
really
I love
cool.
to sing. Like it makes me really happy that it actually does calm her and helps her and like
I do the same thing
cues
with
her for
Kenzie.
bed. Yeah.
We don't sing before bed, but when she's fussy, I just sing "I love you" a bushel and a peck or something like that. And she'll find me in the room and she'll make eye contact, and you can just see like all of the just like melt away. And she's like, "Okay, we're okay." Like Mark whistles really well, and so when he whistles, she like, "Okay."
Aww,
But it was, you know, even my mother-in-law commented on it because she was getting all fussy. She couldn't find me. And so I, you know, just started talking, and then I sang quietly to her, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, she responds to your voice so well." I'm like, "Well, yeah, first of all, I'm her mama," you know, but it's those songs that I think also just bring that comfort.
I really like that because at some point we're going to have Veda be watched by my aunt for a few days while we go to New York.
When is that?
In November.
Oh, fun.
And I'm really nervous, but I do know that I have like these songs and these things that are going to help cue her to be like, you know, this person's okay. You know what I mean? Like I could have a shirt that smells like me, and we can have and I'm trying to get her over to that aunt's house, you know, more often and try to really get her used to her, because I feel like at 10 months I'm really nervous that she's going to be like stranger danger, because right now she's so good with anybody. She can go to anybody and be happy. I think part of that is that I didn't breastfeed her too, and that I've been like, here's a bottle, here's the baby. Like I've literally been
that
like
helps out a lot
here's
too.
a bottle,
Yeah.
here's a baby, here's a bottle, here's the baby. Like, and so she can be fed by anybody pretty much. But like, it is nice. I feel like that's part of it. But also, I'm just really nervous that there is going to come a time where she's like, I'm scared, and I don't want to just like leave her for 3 days and be like.
Kenzie doesn't like men very much.
Really, I find that a lot with. I mean, I've had, especially like. Veda loves the facial hair. She's like sensory.
So funny because Kenzie's like,
but I know so many people that hate it. Yeah, and I'm like,
when Mark has a little bit of stubble and he kisses her, she's like, ooh, 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 ooh.
Okay, but that's true too.
Attacked by the cactus is what I say.
Attacked by the cactus. Well, that's true too, because Veda doesn't like that either. Like Steven will have like the prickles, but then my uncle saw her the other day, and she hadn't ever seen him before. But he sounds like my dad. Like they work in the same place, and when they work together, like when someone hears them, it sounds like they're talking to themselves.
That's
like
funny.
they sound just alike. And so I was like, see, you never met him, but he sounds like Pop. And he like talked to her, and she was like freaked out, and then she started to cry, and I was like, oh. And I was like, but he sounds like Pop. It's like Pop number 2. And my aunt was like, 2 Pop. And I was like, hilarious. Like, we gotta call him 2 Pop now. But
the thing that bothers me though is like when Kenzie is uncomfortable and people are like, oh, it's fine, and she's like crying and screaming,
and you're like, no,
and she's reaching for me. I'm like, give me my kid.
Yeah. Unless I'm like taking a step back and saying, yes, I recognize this is a moment where she needs to realize that other people can calm her down. Like, no, give me my
this was the first time she ever met someone. And I'm like, just, oh, it's okay. No, if I don't think it's okay, then it's not okay. Like, give me my kid,
I will bounce,
let her calm down.
It's okay, as I like gently pass to mom and try to like hang out nearby.
Like, oh, I can touch him. Like, oh, he's okay. Like, oh, I can.
Right.
But like, give me my kid.
Right.
Yeah.
And people want to be the hero, I think. So if they don't have
kiddos.
kiddos.
Are you upset? I'm like, just give her to me.
Well, they want to be the one that like soothes the kid, and I'm like, no, just you're right. It's like sometimes it's not gonna work, and I'm not saying that you failed at soothing the kid. I'm just saying they really want their
You're
mom.
not her mama.
Yeah, she wants her mom.
You don't smell like mom. You don't sound like mom.
And sometimes I gotta like people are like, oh, your kid goes to other people so well, and I'm like, sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm sorry. Yeah, because I have this off, so sometimes you can't hear it. But I was like, sometimes they go to people so well, and I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, sometimes I get almost a little offended if she is going to like anyone but me. You know what I mean? Not she,
well,
like, you know,
they
it's
have
like,
moods. Like Lily and Elliot, it's like they have times where like I want to be around anybody but mom, but I know that mom is nearby.
Yeah.
And they have other times where like, nope, don't even look at me. Like I am with my mama.
Yeah.
But I feel like I need to stick a pin into something that you said a while ago. Oh. Where you said that our bedtime routine is Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and that's it.
No, not that's it. No,
we do sing the kids. Well, I used to sing the kids to bed when they were little. Yeah. But now our routine is more like, hey, like make sure you're dry. It's time for bed, and I just set them in their crib and then go, and like make it a very like no frills kind of thing.
Right. What song did you sing back when
I have Girl Scout songs.
Oh yeah, you do. I always thought it was so sweet when you would sing those Girl Scout songs, or like I get snaps of you, like when you read books to the kids. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I go through stages where like I read a few days and then like I'll go a few days where I don't read to her, and I'm like, man, I am terrible at this. Like I
barely read to the kids at all these days. But
hard.
I mean, it's just so much more like we're doing interactive play, and now that Lily is temporarily on hold from preschool, I'm like, I have to set time aside to say, okay, we're going to read this. Right. We're going to read these 2 books together. We're going to sit here and stay here and read these books.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we can go do other things and see if I can try to get Elliot to sit down. And
Right.
he has not shown near as much interest in books as she has, though.
I'm hoping to do more reading with Kenzie after we wean her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
'Cause you'll
hoping
have that time.
Right. Because right now her bedtime routine is we go in, we turn on the sound machine, she's got this little cloud humidifier. Turn that on, Mark gets her ready in her jammies and her sleep sack, and then I nurse her, and then we rock a little bit, and then we go down. And that's worked for her. Like, anybody can do that. Like, you know, my mom does it, boom, 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 and she's out, and she's like, okay, I know it's bedtime because this, and this. And so I'm hoping that after we're weaning, we can read a book.
Yeah.
Then, so like basically just swap out nursing for reading a book, have her calm down, and
Ours is
bed.
Ours is bottle, brush teeth,
I need to get better
sing
about
our
brushing teeth. And
We do too.
Sing our 2 songs and then go to bed. Well, and I still only brush teeth with water. Like, I'm freaked out about the whole, like, my pediatrician keeps saying, like, oh, you need just a grain size amount of fluoride. And then I hear other people say fluoride is going to destroy your digestive system and all that stuff. And, like, that's a whole debate. But, like, and then I've heard some dentists say you have to use fluoride toothpaste, and other dentists say only use fluoride whenever they can spit. I mean, it's a whole, like, I've seen the gamut. And I've had friends that say we didn't use fluoride till, you know, they were however old. And I was like, I don't know.
Lily doesn't get to I haven't really worked with Lily on spitting it out, but I like to like
because then they spit everything out.
because then they spit everything out. And I'm like, I just put like the smallest amount of toothpaste is like the second to smallest bit of toothpaste that I can on the brush. And brush your teeth. I don't
fluoride.
I don't know.
That you put on Kenzie's.
It's Burt's Bees something.
Okay.
We got just this like I put like just enough so it's on it.
Yeah. So like I brush her teeth with that, and then I rinse the brush off, and then I hand her the brush and tell her to finish brushing her teeth. So I've at least diluted it down a bit. And then I know that all of her teeth have been properly brushed, but then she can still get in that I get to brush my teeth.
And let me tell you how many people are like, look at me and I think they think I'm a crazy person whenever I do the like baby led weaning stuff, when I let her like hold the spoon. Well, like the amount of family that I just know in their heads, they're like, you're being ridiculous because I'm letting her like take the spoon herself and eat it.
So the big thing is, as long as you are fine with cleaning up the mess, and I know you guys are.
Yeah.
It's
we have one.
Yeah.
Maybe it's second
when you have one.
Yeah. Because like with Elliot, it was like.
Well, and maybe the next one doesn't like it at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because
maybe
aunt,
they'll be a better nurser, but not like the baby led weaning. Like they might be like, no, cut that shit out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because my aunt, she has 6 kids, and she was like, well, I don't have time for that, and I was like, oh, you're right. I was like, I have the time for it, so I'm I'm having fun with it. And
first babies are always treated different 100% than the second baby.
100%.
Oh yeah, because
for good or bad. You
Lily,
learn.
like Elliot, it was like unless if I saw anything concerning, which with him I never did. It was like every other day, if not like every single day, I started just introducing a new food because I was like, I need you to be at a point where I can just start feeding you the same stuff that I'm feeding Lily. So in that way, I'm not spending double the amount on this food. Like I don't have to have double the storage space for this food. I only need like 1.5.
Yeah.
I just finished her cereal the other day, and I was kind of sad about that too. I was like, oh,
oatmeal.
I mean, I could buy some more. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I could buy more, but
Lily went through 1 tub of cereal. Elliot went through 2 or 3.
Nice.
Because I was just like,
Kenzie loved it.
Yeah, Veda likes it too. Like when you had started to feed the cereal, and I had heard, oh, you don't have to use cereal or whatever. And now that like I use a cereal, and it's great because it just gives me another option of things I can give her that's high in iron, because they say, you know, prioritize the high iron foods right now because they have those low iron stores now or whatever. And it's like, and I wasn't told to give a supplement, and you were told to give like a supplement. But we
wasted
formula.
so much money.
Oh, did you?
Wasted so much money. The one cost $20. And it was like, this one tastes better. It smelled. You want to talk about formula smelling? This, I wonder if it's because they had the vitamin D in it, because
the iron.
Yeah. Sorry, the iron.
I
this
bet
one
it
was
is
iron and vitamin D, and it was like, I'm like, I wouldn't eat that either. They're like, well, mix it in her cereal, so I did that, and
she was like, yuck.
Yeah, she wouldn't even touch it, and she kills cereal.
Nice.
So we spent one, and we spent like $10, and then this one's like, Mark did all this research and was like, this is the best one, and it tastes good, and
now do you guys
on my counter?
Yeah, as I said, you guys just prioritize like iron-rich foods, like just try to do like more iron-rich stuff.
We just
feed her.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, because
have they done her first blood draw yet?
When will they do that?
Usually. So I think with both of our kids,
we haven't hit her 12-month point yet.
So with both of our kids, they did it at their 9-month checkup because they found a good enough vein that they're like, we feel comfortable doing this.
What?
And
I didn't know about that at all.
No, 9
they
months?
had this little teeny tiny needle.
I'm sad.
It was insane. But like
they didn't have to get anything at
Where
9
do
months.
your kids go?
They go to the same doctor that Joe and myself go to.
family doctor?
So it's just the family doctor.
is?
So they see everybody from like 0 to like 99, and then some of the doctors will even take you while you're pregnant up to like 22 weeks.
Wow.
But
Interesting.
I was like, no, I'm going to go to an OB-GYN for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
usually like their 1 year checkup, they try to do a blood draw.
I wish they would have told me. I'm glad you told me.
I mean, but it's not like a fasting blood draw.
Right.
But it's
I know, but still like
they
don't know.
they like Lily watched it the whole time and didn't care.
Wow.
Elliot, I didn't really care
Kenzie
either.
is so funny. Her shots, she's like cool with. Like the first one, she was like, okay, that's not cool, but okay. And then the second one, she was like, I trusted you. And you stabbed me. Like
we
she'll
sang
mean
Wheels
mug
on the Bus the whole
nurse.
time.
She'll mean mug the
That's
nurse all the way out, and then
funny.
she's gone, and she looks at me like, Mom, do you believe what that woman just did to me?
She is
So
so
I-
expressive.
so I don't-
She is so
She
expressive.
is.
I'm like,
Her eyebrows
"Oh."
are down, and she's just like, no, that
So
hurts.
How do they have for us, they have me like hold on to Elliot's arms and chest,
Ugh.
and then like and so like so he's
No.
just looking at me.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
so he's
then-
facing you.
He's laying down on the table, and like he'll have a nurse on each leg because usually he's getting at least 2 shots. The days where he
So
gets
he
3
thinks
shots
the
are
pain is
terrible.
coming from you.
Well,
Nice.
so well,
Mama
No.
mean.
I had to leave when Veda got hurt. Whenever Veda got hurt, like lip and tongue tied, I was like, "Be a good girl," and they like laughed at me, and they were like, "Be a good girl," and I was like, "I don't know, I'm just so distraught."
so the first time they give shots, they asked me like, "Are you going to be able to do this?" Because some moms can't do it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "I am gonna."
All
Like,
they did is Mark put her on his hip, and he would boop.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So like, but
For
like we
shots,
sing,
it doesn't bother me.
no, we sing Wheels on the Bus.
lip and tongue tied.
they're
and
gonna
so-
hate that.
I mean, the kids are gonna hate it
They're
at
like,
some
ow,
point.
my arm.
After, yeah.
But like, 'cause then we do the motions. Like the nurses will sing too,
Yeah.
and then usually it's like after the shots, we maybe have to do one more verse of Wheels on the Bus, and they're fine.
Yeah. Veda really liked the up, up, down, down song. We always do the up, up, up. This is down, down, down. No, we do big, 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 small, small, small. Sorry. Big,
Right.
big, big. This is small, small, small. She likes that one. And that would we do that
Kenzie
for
is really
stretches.
fine with it. She'll stop crying, but she's like, I trusted you.
Oh yeah. Well, and then they get so lethargic. Well, Veda gets so lethargic acting afterwards. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening to you? I get so freaked out. I'm like,
I'm just
get
like
so nervous.
Well, so Lily, it was super nap time, which was great because I was like, I can get stuff done today.
Kenzie was
Elliot
chill.
turns into like a cranky snuggle monster. So like if you are not actively touching him, he is very
no.
grumpy.
The only time Veda ever had like inconsolable crying was after vaccines, and that just always breaks my heart. But I mean, I know it is what it is. But like, I usually know when she cries, it's very short lived, and it's usually because she's hungry or tired. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, Kenzie, like, the first one, she's like, whatever. The second one, she, like, cries like a hoo-hoo-hoo, and then she's done.
aw,
But she will mean mug that nurse
that is
all
funny.
the way out the
That's
door. Like,
funny.
I trusted you.
Oh, did they give him? Did your guys give him in opposite legs, or did they give him the same leg?
Opposite.
So
See,
ours do
they-
opposite legs,
the other
unless if they
day-
get 2, unless they're getting 3, and if they're getting 3, they'll say like 2 in right and 1 in left.
No, they gave him 2. Both the shots she was supposed to get, she got both in the same leg, and I was like, why not? I was just like, I don't know. So anyway,
My mama's here.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks you guys for joining us. This was a very spontaneous conversation.
It was great though. I think this was like very. I think we all got good points in today.
Yeah.
As long as Joe doesn't edit us out.
Joseph, don't edit us out.
That's going to be in the bloopers.
There's no laughing loud.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like, you can't make it funny.
No, Joe. No, Joe.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, Joe.
Joe's just gonna fast forward to the end of here. No, Joe. No.
Don't do it.
But Joe, really, you're the best. Oh, I also forgot to disclose. Apparently, we're on like a Patreon-esque thing now.
What does that mean?
And no, one of the tiers is unedited episodes.
Nice.
So, but
Nice.
but like I reserve the right to do some editing. Like we'll
You're
edit out
welcome.
names
Yeah.
because I'm not
Like
like
you don't want to say like the name of your like school or certain things probably.
Right.
yeah, like we're not
Yeah.
those
Did you get a new
stupid.
phone?
I saw a TikTok today. We'll talk about it as we head out. So thank you guys so much for joining
Yeah,
us.
this was great. Thanks, Caroline.
That does it for this week's show. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find us at Craft Parenting Podcast on all those platforms. You can also get a hold of us via email, which is craftparentingpodcast@gmail.com.
If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Make sure to share the show. It's what helps our show grow. If you'd like to send us stuff such as fan mail, craft supplies, or sanity, we have a P.O. box.
And all of this information is available on our website, which is is www.craftparentingpodcast.com.
That's where we post the show notes, plus blog posts about some of the stuff that doesn't make it into the podcast.
And if you would like to support the show in a monetary fashion, we have a Buy Me a Coffee account
Ooh,
where you can buy us a coffee.
I like coffee.
And those funds help support the show and help us buy new equipment and keep the show growing. So you can find the link in the show notes if you want more information on that. And if you want to follow me personally on Instagram, you can find me at craftparentingjoe. That's where I post pictures of the beer that I drink.
And I am at Caroline Creates Crafts on Instagram and Caroline's Creative Crafts on Facebook.
And with that, I'm Joe.
And I'm Caroline.
See you next time on the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Bye. Buy me a coffee and a box of wine.
Do you want me to do the intro again, or?
Is it copacetic to use the same intro for 2 different episodes?
What? Copacetic?
Is it kosher? Is it okay?
No, we're going to do it again.
Okay. For the second episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to push the music?
Oh, it's up to you. I'm good either way. Katie and Hillary like the music. It's a bop.